1. Good evening, everyone. This is the FAU Owl's Nest YouTube channel. My name is Jacob Kelly. Alongside me today is JJ Metz. We are here for the second game of the season as FAU welcomes in the Ohio Bobcats. JJ, we got to see the Owls win last week against Monmouth, go to 1-0 on the season. What did you see from them last week that you think could help them in today's matchup?
Yeah, the new look offense really exceeded all expectations. I really like Casey Thompson. Obviously, he scored. He threw for 5 touchdown passes, and the running game was electric as always. Larry McCannon averaging 10 yards a carry and having about 175 total yards. So I just love the offense. Maybe the defense could improve a little bit with letting up 20 points against Monmouth.
Yeah, there is room for improvement, and that we'll get to see here very shortly as the FAU Owls have just taken the field. The captain is coming to center field. FAU is coming off of their first game of the season, as we just mentioned, with a win against Monmouth to go to 1-0. And then on the other side with the Ohio Bobcats, they're coming into this matchup 1-1 with a loss week 1 against a school that most of us know, unfortunately, too closely, San Diego State, followed by a win in week 2 against Long Island University. Coming into this week, it was unknown what the quarterback situation was going to look like for Ohio, but it looks like Curtis Rourke, the man who led them to a 41-38 victory last year against our FAU Owls up in Ohio, where the two quarterbacks of N'Kosi Perry and Curtis Rourke threw for a combined 709 yards and 7 different touchdowns. He gets the start today. Last week, it was a backup performance with the duo of C.J. Harris and Navarro getting the win against Long Island University. I did mention this is the second matchup, back-to-back seasons between these two schools. It was a very thrilling matchup last year with Ohio just able to hold on at the end as FAU was trying to push to a score, and FAU lost that game 41-38. We're very excited for the matchup today. We're delayed a little bit due to the rain, as it looks like the kickoff is right about to happen. So thank you guys very much for tuning in today. This is the FAU Owls FAU Owls Nest YouTube channel. We are going to be coming to you guys live just about every TV break, in between quarters, halftime, and at the end of the game for a live stream wrap up at the end. So make sure you keep tuned here, watch the game, and then when the TV timeouts pop up, come back to us, as myself, Jacob, JJ will be coming at you guys with our analysis of what's going on, so you just get non-stop Owls action. So again, thank you very much for tuning in today. Let's get ready for the game. All right, well, that was a very eventful start to the game. On the very first kickoff, we had offsetting personal fouls between, I think it was Bailey Russ of Ohio and Khalil Brantley of FAU, followed by an interception on the first play by Jackson Ambush, and what appears to be immediately followed by an interception thrown by Casey Thompson. And that play is currently under review, but as they go to review, Jaquan Burton is currently down on the field, and everybody on both teams, both teams' set of players are currently on the field, and I don't think there's a single player standing, maybe one or two. Every player on both sides of the field taking a knee in solidarity as Jaquan Burton, if I'm not mistaken, was hit on the play, looked to be helmet-to-helmet contact. You hate to see it. Somebody so important to the team, Jaquan, somebody who's been here for such a long time. And first play on offense, cutting over the middle of the field, didn't quite see the collision. You saw the reaction afterwards. But Jaquan is currently being attended to. A very fast-paced start to this ball game. Very first play by FAU's defense getting an interception, and what appears to be the second play of the game. First play for FAU on offense, another interception going back the way of Ohio. But the bigger story right now is just what the health is of Jaquan Burton. As of now, he still hasn't moved, and that is the latest we have in terms of updates. So just obviously thoughts and prayers, hope for the best for Jaquan Burton as the medical staff is currently attending to him. And again, all the players, both sides of the field, looks like they've got him, or they're trying to move him onto stretcher to be carted off. Something you absolutely hate to see from one of the biggest players on the team, somebody very important to this offense in both ways in terms of his on-field performance as well as his off-field performance. So I think thoughts for the best for him. And again, that's all we have here so far. All right, we are back. It's been a long time since we got to speak with you guys, but it is still 0-0 after one quarter of play. FAU's offense has come out struggling a bit, only 16 yards so far. They will take over possession at the beginning of the quarter. JJ, Ohio's been able to move the ball. They haven't been in a position to score. They had one missed field goal so far. What's going wrong with the Owls so far? Yeah, one can hope, and it's a bumpy start. Excuse me. Why is that not? Sorry. It's been a bumpy start from FAU. I mean, there's no other way around it. Starting off as slow as they did, and but still having the game be 0-0. We have seen two of FAU's best players go down. Jaquan Burton on the first offensive snap for FAU. We talked about it a little bit, and then Armani Eli Adams got the Dolphins on the mind a little bit. He goes down on a deep shot over the top into the end zone. And, you can definitely say that through the first quarter, Ohio has been the better team. But with the scoreboard still being 0-0 and the ball in FAU's hands, it is still a good opportunity for the Owls to go down and pick up points. A lot's got to change. Having a negative in the rushing column, just that one play to LeJontay Wester, which is considered a pass that he took for about 15 yards. Casey Thompson has gotten a lot of pressure on him. FAU offensive line hasn't withstood the pressure so far. So a long way to go in this football game. A lot of football still to be played. FAU can really only go up from here. A game last year that we saw a lot of scoring and one quarter of play with no scoring whatsoever. Hope for a lot of big differences from this point out. Hi. Just making a technical adjustment. Testing. All right. Enjoy the second quarter.
we are back live, and there's really been nothing much to talk about right now. The total offense shifts about 60 yards more for the Ohio Bobcats. The Ohio Bobcats have 116 yards. FAU has 52. So, not too much offense for the Owls, a 70-yard gap almost with those two. Ohio has put together some long drives early in the first quarter, but through the second quarter, some confusing plays happened, and we're here now. Hopefully, FAU can start playing better ball.
All right, looks like FAU has finally gotten the break that they've needed. As we've been talking about, the offense has not gone off to the start that they would have liked. However, it looks like on a 3rd down and 1, a rush up the middle was fumbled, and Darius McClendon at FAU comes up with the recovery. Currently, they are under break, looking at whether that is going to stand or not. If it does, FAU will be taking over possession on their own 36-yard line. And with FAU not really being able to move the ball at all up to this point, it'll be all the help that FAU has had for this entire game. They've had a lot of moments so far that, when they look back at film this week, some stuff that they need to get fixed, stuff even like injuries that are out of the control of the coaches and the players has really plagued FAU so far. But if this does stand, FAU will have the ball in a golden opportunity to go down and put up the first points of the game. When we did the preview, we had no idea that this point in the ball game, it'd still be a 0-0 ball game. 41-38 last year. FAU improves at the quarterback position. Curtis Rourke of Ohio is back and is playing for the first time since early on in week 1. This is not the game we expected, but with FAU looking as rough as they had so far, it's be only, I was going to say only be down, not down at all. It's be having the game at 0-0 is honestly a blessing at this point. Now we just got to sit around and wait and cross our fingers that this call stands on the field.
After a very disappointing start for FAU, Logan Lupo kicks a field goal for FAU, and FAU is winning this game 3-0. Casey Thompson leads FAU down the field, 3rd and 7, incomplete. FAU settles for a field goal, but all you can ask for is some sort of points, and you can't be mad when you're winning the game. So, very excited for the rest of this game.
unearned, call it what you want. The Owls are now up 10-0. On the previous drive, we had that fumble that led to a field goal. And on that last play, a batted ball for an interception. Certainly been outplayed to this point, but now find themselves with a double-digit advantage as the second quarter is starting to wind down. It's not ideal. It's not pretty. The Ohio defense has had answers every single time the FAU offense has walked their way onto the field. FAU is now missing Jaquan Burton. I believe they're still missing Armani Eli Adams. Everything has been going against FAU on paper except for the scoreboard. 10-0. You take it. You take it. You're not. It's not about what's prettiest. It's not about, if I'd rather everything look terrible and end up on top than play the prettiest, best game of our lives and end up losing. This is just sometimes how the sport works. Now, it's only a 10-point advantage. This is not something that you can expect to withstand to continue to play the way the Owls have, especially on offense, and to continue to lead this game. And the second half is going to be a true testament to see what this team is made out of if they can finally get out of first gear. But being up 10-0 is a whole lot better than being down 10-0. The defense has really stepped up. Ohio's been able to move the ball. They haven't had really any big plays, but they've just been able to operate within their offense. And if they are able to just execute and get rid of some mistakes, they should be up in this game, about 10-0, about being in the same position that FAU is. But they've had a few mistakes, and those mistakes now, those 2 turnovers, have immediately led to points. And that's just the spot you want to be. Owls are now up 10-0, which is a few minutes left to go in the second quarter. All right, guys, welcome to the halftime show. Jacob Kelly, JJ Metz joining you guys. Thank you for tuning in to the FAU Owls Nest YouTube channel. It's been an up and down game for the FAU Owls, currently held under 100 total yards on the game, whereas with the Ohio Bobcats, just over 200. But we have a 10-7 ball game, despite that being the case. FAU has not been able to move the ball much downfield, but thanks to 2 turnovers by the Ohio Bobcats, FAU was able to get into the end zone. They got a field goal first, and then Jerron Morris with a pick six to put the Owls up 10-0. And then on that final drive there by the Bobcats, Will Kaczmarek did get in the end zone with about 20 seconds left to go. FAU looks to be without 3 of their better players, as on that final drive, Decarius Hawthorne was ejected on a targeting penalty. We already know that Jaquan Burton went down earlier on in the half, and then also Eli Armani Adams. I want to say that probably a couple more times. I do have just a little bit of an update on Jaquan Burton. This is an unofficial update, but it appears to be, which we expected it to be, a concussion, and appears that he also has 2 broken teeth and has already received some stitches from his injury earlier on in the game. Again, that is an unofficial report, so if we are incorrect, I apologize. Let me give you guys a slightly better angle, not make JJ look even more shorter than he is. So JJ, that was it. It was a weird half. It was a very weird half. The Owls are easily getting outgained. They didn't really have anything going on offense. You lose arguably your best wide receiver, if not best, one of your best. But they benefited off the turnovers, and now they find themselves up going into halftime.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, we definitely got outplayed. Ohio has been able to move the ball more than us. I mean, you can see with the total yards. And like you mentioned, those injuries might come back to bite us as we are down a wide receiver and 2 defensive players. Very interesting, as you mentioned. And, I mean, we're winning even though we've been the worst team, so to speak, but hopefully we can keep up the winning. But I want us to play better, because this is unacceptable if we play this way against Clemson or Illinois, and we gotta play better. Curtis Rourke, we saw him throw some wide receiver screens towards that last drive. We gotta stop those wide receiver screens, and ultimately the secondary has to be better.
Yeah, Ohio's getting virtually whatever they want on the offensive side of things. Now, all the drives that we've seen come up short by them have mostly been self-inflicted wounds. They have the ball, the very first play of the game throws an interception. They have the ball within their own territory, fumbles, leads to an immediate field goal. And then later on in the half, driving down in FAU territory, a batted pass which falls right off the wide receiver's hands, beautifully into the hands of Jerron Morris, goes the other way for a touchdown. FAU just has to thank the Lord basically for what's going on right now. It's been a whole lot of things that arguably aren't even in FAU's control that puts them up here. But I said it at the end of the first half that theoretically it can only go up from here. It didn't really do that much in the second quarter, and I believe the Owls are just over 60 total yards on the game. Casey looks uncomfortable. He's had to move around a lot. His guys have not been wide open. LaJonte, Tony Johnson, you know what you get from those guys. There's a lot of speed on the outside, but they haven't been able to find the gaps in the zone or beat their man off the line of scrimmage. Ohio's defense has been very disciplined. They come in so far with a very strong game plan, and the defense, give a lot of credit to the Ohio defense. That's been the best side of the ball of the 2 teams. Offense, defense has been Ohio's defense so far. You can't really blame them for the points that's been put up on the board. The field goal, they were already set up at the 30-yard line, and then the pick six, they're on the sideline as an FAU defender is running down towards the end zone. So there's not a lot to really scoff at if you're the Ohio defense or Ohio defensive coordinator. JJ, with what we've seen so far, what are your expectations for the second half?
Just play good and win the game. That's my expectation. Like I said, we would win by 3 points. It's like that at halftime right now. But I want this defense and offense to play a lot better than they did in the first half all around. As you mentioned, Ohio has been moving the ball a lot better, but they have had turnovers in FAU's territory. So if Ohio can finish drives like they did on that last drive, I don't think we can win this game. But my expectations are to win this game, and I think we can win this game.
It's always a much better position to be in, being up going into halftime than down, but there's a lot that has to go right for FAU in this second half in order for them to keep this lead, maintain it, and go into Clemson up 2-0. Let us know your thoughts down below in the comments of this of the first half. We know it wasn't pretty. We know it wasn't exactly what FAU was looking forward to, but 10-7 being up going into halftime is about all you could ask for. So stick with us. We will be back very soon with the second half of play. If you haven't done so already, please hit that like button right down below. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll be back with you guys on the other side of the halftime. It's been a lot of the same. That very first drive, not a lot going on. Casey Thompson taking that pretty big sack, and it's definitely been a defensive battle, which it's not necessarily a bad thing. Both teams' defenses look very sharp. Both teams' offenses, Ohio's picked up the yards. We haven't, but they've had the mistakes so far. At the very least, we only had that one turnover on the first play of the first play for us on offense, but. Me and JJ talked about it at the halftime break about how this offense needs to pick up here in the second half. And, picked up a couple first downs there, which to the standard of how the game's been going is, I guess a positive sight. But KC cannot be taking a 15-yard sack when you have the ball in Ohio territory, just dropping back, keep dropping back and back and back, and next thing you know, you're converged upon. You got to find a way to throw that ball away. Maybe set yourself up to get a short gain, put yourself in field goal position, maybe in a position where you go for it. But now it's on the defense. The defense, it's been a very bend, not break mentality. 211 yards is somewhat a lot in that first half, but only that one touchdown at the end, 3 turnovers. Might need a few more turnovers by this defense to keep us in this ball game. It's going to be a big opportunity for Ohio to try to gain some momentum. Played well in that first half. Their defense really stepped up. The offense looked good, was moving the ball, was marching, just couldn't get in the end zone except for that first drive. They're going to have the ball on their own 20. It's going to be a big drive for both sides of the ball for both these two teams.
FAU gets off to a very bad start to start the second half. I mean, we're losing now 14-10. On that last drive, Curtis Rourke completed a 30-yard reception to Mason Williams, and they got inside the 10-yard line. And then O'Shawn Allen, the running back, with a touchdown. So 14-10 on that last drive, and it's really not ideal for FAU. As we've seen, Ohio's moving the ball. They have been completing receptions. They've been doing so well. I'm very nervous for FAU, and I don't think we're going to come away victorious in this game. Casey Thompson has to step up his play, and the receivers have to get open more. We need LaJonte and Tony to run better routes. Hopefully, we can just win this game. Go.
And the defensive battle continues. 14-10, one touchdown score there in the third quarter. FAU still just can't get anything to go on offense. They do have the ball at the start of the fourth quarter. 101 yards compared to 310 of Ohio, and JJ, somehow we're still in this game.
I mean, it's crazy when you actually think about it. We've been the worst team by far. Ohio, as Jacob mentioned, has more than 200 more total yards than us. Ohio has been playing a great game, in my opinion. And, I mean, they've just been holding the ball. They've been running the ball a lot, been throwing a lot of screens. I'm really impressed by the way Curtis Rourke has been playing. But obviously our defense has held them to 14 points. So we have a chance. We have to capitalize on this next drive that we have on offense. And we got to score touchdowns. We got to get in the end zone. Let's go Owls.
Yeah, and JJ, we were talking the two of us that it seems like the team is definitely missing Jaquan Burton. Obviously, he isn't going to be returning, and like we talked to you guys at halftime, looks like a concussion, a couple broken teeth, and some stitches that he got since going down with the injury. The offense, just the run game hasn't been going. There hasn't been the spacing to run up the middle. Hasn't been a lot going to the outside. Casey Thompson has had to scramble quite a lot, and the receivers aren't getting open. Just pretty much in every single facet, FAU is not up to par on the offensive end. I hate to sit here and just continue being negative, but it is just the reality of the situation rather than being too negative. But like I've said pretty much all game, with that being said, we're only down 4 points. This drive here is the biggest drive of the game for both sides. FAU can go down and take the lead, or Ohio can stop them and get the ball back, try to go up 2 scores. Casey Thompson interception, only has 125 yards, and me and JJ were talking in the break. We're trying to be positive. We're trying to find some good in this game, but it's been a very rough offensive performance. I don't have to be the first to tell you guys that. 125 total yards, 125 passing yards. I believe 5 total rushing yards, if I'm not mistaken. It's frustrating. It's a very frustrating game to sit as an FAU fan and watch. I went to the school for 5 years. First year here with the Owl's Nest, and this is definitely one of the more frustrating offensive performances I've got to see live in the 5 years that I've been an FAU fan, FAU student, FAU supporter, FAU content creator. It's definitely frustrating, and we've been saying all game that they're still not out of it. They still have the ability to come back and win this, but every chance they get, it seems like they're just making it more difficult than it needs to be. Like Casey Thompson, they're forcing it into double coverage. 2 plays before that, forcing it, I believe, was triple coverage to BJ Alexander, and just keep shaking your head at the performance we're seeing on field. Again, still only down 4 points. There is definitely plenty of time, plenty of opportunity to come back in this ball game, but this defense has to continue to play as outstanding as it has been. I don't have anything negative to say about the defense performance. Bend, not break. They're allowing yards, but they're getting stops. They're getting turnovers, and they've been the best side of the ball this ball game. They need to come out here, have their best drive of the ball game, get it to the hands of the offense with a good field position, and we'll see how the rest of the game turns out. Alex Casey field goal now takes the Bobcats up 17-10 with just over 5 minutes left to go in the ball game. The defense was not able to hold them without any points. It just nickel and dime their way down the field, ultimately leading to a field goal. But they did keep them out of the end zone. So at the very least, this means that it is a one-score ball game. FAU with the ball. If I'm the Owls, this drive, if I get in the end zone, I have to heavily consider going for it for the 2-point conversion. It's been a very, very mixed bag performance. A lot of things to be negative about, and things that they're going to have to fix when it comes to the practice and the film coming up this week. But with that being said, we've been talking about it all stream long to this point. Despite the negative play, the Owls continue to be in a position where they can win the ball game. I don't know where someone's gonna have to step up. You're looking at your LeJohntay Wester. You're without Jaquan Burton, Tony Johnson. How are you going to perform? Some of the other wide receivers like B.J. Alexander, who's gotten on the field due to Jaquan's injury. The ground game has been virtually non-existent. 5 total yards. We saw some Kobe Lewis. We've seen Larry McCammon. We've seen Zabari Mobley. None of them have been able to get it going on the ground. Somebody has to step up. Whether it's Casey Thompson himself putting in some magic, whether it's his receivers around him, something has to change. Somebody has to step up. And let's see if there is that one guy or guys that's able to step up and make this play and tie the game. And with that is a wrap. FAU has lost 17-10, their first loss of the season, falling to Ohio. It was a dominant Ohio defensive performance. Before we get into things, I'll just run through the box score of the two teams. Casey Thompson, 23-42, 180 yards, 2 interceptions. LaJohntay Wester, really the only person on the offensive side of the ball for FAU that was able to get anything going. 12 catches, 101 yards. The rest of the receivers combined had 79 yards other than LaJohntay. Ground game, virtually non-existent. Now, this number is inflated by Casey Thompson's 22-yard sack, but only 5 total yards on the ground. 23 from Larry McCammon, 3 from Zuberi Mobley. Kobe Lewis got involved, but he only got one singular yard. And looking at the Ohio box score, Curtis Rourke, 18 of 29, 203 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. Sam Wiglitz, apologize if that's if the pronunciation there was incorrect. 4 catches, 22 yards. Will Kaczmarek, 3 catches, 29 yards, a touchdown. Mason Williams had the most amount of yards in that department, 46 yards. Ground game, we thought it was going to be Sia Bangura who was going to lead the way on the ground for the Bobcats. That was not the case. He only had 45 yards, whereas O'Shawn Allison, 22 yards, 80 yards, and did get in the end zone for the Bobcats. Definitely a defensive battle. When you just look at the box sheet, you would then think that the Bobcats had really good offense, and they put up the yards. It wasn't anything flashy. They didn't really. It wasn't bright. It wasn't special. They didn't do any really trick plays or big shots. They just nickel and dime their way down the field time and time again. And we were talking about, JJ, that if they were able to nickel and dime their way down the field but stop the turnovers, they were going to likely come away on top. And we did see that in the second half. No points allowed on the FAU side, and Ohio finally started to pick things up and took the lead and ultimately won the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really sad if you're an FAU fan. We sort of came close towards the end, even though Ohio outplayed us. LaJohntay Wester caught the kick return, and we had some hope. 6 seconds left, 1 shot, and unable to come away with it then. But, I mean, you got to look forward. This whole season ahead just started. I mean, this doesn't count towards conference play. That's all you could wish for, and yeah. Yeah,
Ohio now takes the series sweep, the home and away. Mentioned earlier that 41-38 was the score last time. A completely different ball game. Offense is dominated there, over 700 yards between the two quarterbacks. Very different game today. Curtis Rourke was the better of the two quarterbacks statistically, but he only had 203 yards, a touchdown, and did also have 2 interceptions. You just really got to tip your cap to that Ohio defense. And the one bright side is FAU's defense looked pretty sharp themselves. They did not allow a lot of big plays. They got a few turnovers. They made some key stops to try to give the offense the opportunity to move down the field and have some success. And this definitely was not Casey Thompson's best game as a pro. He definitely struggled to find the open man, but I almost want to say that's more of a compliment towards the Ohio defense than it is a downplay for the FAU offense. The defense of Ohio, they did exactly what it appears to be that they were game planning to do. Make Casey Thompson uncomfortable, and they were able to do that with oftentimes just 3 to 5 man rushes. Didn't see a lot of blitz packages and didn't see a lot of exotic zone coverages. It was very much we're going to trust our defensive line to get to the quarterback, which they did, and we're going to trust our secondary to keep the FAU wide receivers at bay, which they did. Losing Jaquan Burton on the first offensive play by FAU is, I don't have to tell you how big of a deal it is. That is, the second leading receiver returning from the team last season. Opposite side of LaJohntay, that's a massive difference where you have two wide receivers of that talent level on other sides of the field. When they can focus more on LaJohntay, and then you're able to keep the other guys out of the mix like they were. Tony Johnson, 28 yards. Larry McCammon is the fourth leading receiver with 16. Jackson Sumlin is your third leading receiver. B.J. Alexander only having 1 catch for 3 yards. You need more from your wide receiver core, but again, just nod to the Ohio defense and their ability. JJ, before we wrap up this stream, do you have any closing thoughts as we go into Clemson to find a way to feel some sort of positivity going into that game?
Yeah, I mean, Ohio really deserved to win. They were the better team, but I think we can definitely turn this around. We can agree that we played really bad, and we lost by 7 points to this Ohio Bobcats team and almost scored at the end. So if we can be better, then we have a chance against Clemson. And I guess this might make you have a little bit more of an open mind. Clemson did lose to Duke, and they sorta played close with Charleston Southern
in the first half.
So, yeah.
I mean, it can be definitely a bright spot to right the wrongs of what we've seen today. We have 2 away non-conference games coming up on the schedule with Clemson next week and Illinois the following week. And then conference play is right around the corner. And that's where, the rubber meets the road. Things get very important. But we thank you very much for tuning in to today's broadcast. This is Jake Kelly, JJ Metz of the FAU Owl's Nest. If you'd like to see more content, some more FAU-based content, please hit that subscribe button, as well as go over to the FAU Owl's Nest, or go over to FAUOwlsNest.com. Richard Pereira will be continuing a lot of work over there as he's continued to do so for a long time now. So we appreciate you guys supporting and staying by with us through today, even though it was a very difficult game to watch. It was a very difficult game for us here at the stadium, so I imagine those of you guys at home were equally frustrated. But it is what it is. Now we just move on to Clemson. Again, thank you all very much for watching today. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button. We will be back at you guys in, I think it's a month before the next home game. So because we have 2 away games and a bye week, so 4 weeks, we will be back here in this booth with you guys, with this watch along as FAU looks to get back to the winning things at home. But again, thank you all very much for watching. Make sure you guys have a safe rest of your night.